course some things are true, like, I don't like public speaking. Of course you don't. Nobody likes public speaking. It's really hard when you start. You've got to do a lot of it to get good at it. And I speak in front of big audiences, and I'm still like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous on occasions before I go and speak. Right? And I've spoken in front of 15,000 people at the same time in the same venue. And I still go to a 500-person audience and go, oh my gosh. If you think about everything that you believe to be true about you, shy, introvert, extrovert, confident, work well in this environment, don't work well in that environment, I'm clever like this, I can't do this, I can do that, I'm gifted at this, I'm not gifted at that, so on and so forth. If you think about those things, and all of us say those things, what we're actually doing first is we're tattooing labels on ourselves of beliefs about ourselves, which we think that we believe to be true. But if you take each one of those labels, you should ask yourself, whose label is that, because it's not mine? You see, that label was given to you at a point in time by a human being. See, we were born as Genesis 1:27, made in his perfect image. We were born like that. Everything that's happened since then, these tattoos that we wear, are simply an experience linked to another human being or more, saying, oh, bless you, you're a bit shy, it's okay, just hide back there. And they do it with the biggest amount of love. They're trying to help you and be kind to you, but they're actually taking their inadequacies, dropping them on you, and giving you a label that you then carry and define yourself. You know, I got diagnosed as dyslexic when I was at school. There's probably a degree of truth in it. But the message of what dyslexic meant as it transferred into the careers office was, it's fine, you just be good at sports. Don't need to read and write in that. It's all right, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, blah, 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 blah. It'll always be a problem for you, but you'll be fine, because you're still like you just take that message of dyslexic and just like tattoo it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, right? But it's not actually true, because I wasn't born like that. I was born Genesis 1:27. And so everything that we believe to be true about ourselves, we actually need to go back and go, who gave this to me in error? By a loving accident. And maybe they didn't say, you're this. Maybe we just identified something in another human being and copied it. And then one day they said, I'm that. And you go, oh, well, I want to be like you, so I must be like that as well. And we adopt, but nevertheless, it's still from them, right? And we adopt it. And if we go through each of these tattoos and lift them off and go, well, when in my life did I get given this? Like, who accidentally but lovingly gave it to me? And we decide that it's no longer mine. But I'm going to go back to my Genesis 1:27 type, and I'm going to give that back to them. You see, all of those labels that we have, not a single one of them is biblically accurate. Find introvert, extrovert for me in the Old or New Testament. You won't, right? They're not there. Therefore, and those are just one example, any one thing that we have about that we carry actually doesn't come from God and doesn't come from Christ himself. Therefore, we're labeling ourselves, this temple of us, with non-biblical labels. And then we have to say, well, where do non-biblical labels come from? They don't come from God, and they don't come from Jesus, and they don't come from the Holy Spirit. Then who do they, or where do they come from? Well, it's the dude with like a fork and red horns below, right? It comes from him with the fire around him. It's that corruption trying to get us to limit ourselves. And if we're to be really honest about all of these labels, they are actually true to a degree. But of course some things are true, like, I don't like public speaking. Of course you don't. Nobody likes public speaking. It's really hard when you start. You've got to do a lot of it to get good at it. And I speak in front of big audiences, and I'm still like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous on occasions before I go and speak. Right? And I've spoken in front of 15,000 people at the same time in the same venue, and I still go to a 500-person audience and go, oh my gosh. Right? It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be like this confident thing that we're sold by social media. If we're actually decide to be like Jesus and use that as our superpower to grow our business, then we'll notice that Jesus could do reclusive in the wilderness and alone. He, on the flip side of it, could do a Sermon on the Mount. He could do meek and mild, yet he could carry a cross. He could do loving, yet he could do fury with the tax collectors and the cat of nine tails in the temple. He had, there's a behavioral science called cybernetics, and the first rule of cybernetics states that the object within the system with the highest degree of behavioral flexibility will always control the system. So an object could be a country within the earth. It could be a human in a room. It could be an atom in a group of atoms. It could be whatever you want it to be. But if we look at Jesus himself, the object of Christ, highest degree of behavioral flexibility, controls everything. Christ himself fulfills the first law of cybernetics through his behavioral flexibility, the ability to meet people where they're at, to adapt who we are, to meet the circumstance, and to fully live that Genesis 1:27 post-cross version of us as a saint. You see, what we believe to be true about ourselves, it isn't ours. It was just misgifted by somebody at some point in time. And maybe today's the time to give it back.